Hey guys, I thought I'd do a super budget LS build out, like the cost for NA and turbo. Um, so this is kind of like the minimum you can get into one of these, and this is like cutting costs as much as you can, really. Um, so to do that, you got to get the undesirable 4.8 that no one seems to want. I've seen them as low as 200, but depends around you. I just put $300 here. LS9 cam. They make pretty good power over the factory cam, and they're really cheap. I mean, you can go even cheaper, honestly, and just do no cam and just use these springs, but a cam unlocks a lot of power on the LS, so I would recommend getting it. And then LS3 valve springs. That might be kind of pushing it because these say they max out at 550 lift, and this is like a 559 intake lift, I think. So just note that. But I just put them on here because they're cheap and a lot of guys use them. F-body oil pan, $100 off like Rock Auto. You need the pickup tube too. You need the dipstick and the tube, or just plug that hole and not be able to read your oil level. But I would recommend getting it. Make the engine mounts yourself, maybe $30 in material. It's probably not even that. Obviously the cost, the pricing is all based on, you doing all the work yourself, having a welder, being able to make your own mounts, stuff like that. Now you could get Dirty Dingo mounts, but they're like $160, so, for a super budget build, you're going to have to make your own. Walbro 450, you can find them for around $120, and then just get like a relay from AutoZone or something for $5 or whatever. Wire it directly to the battery, so it's getting full voltage all the time. Just go to the junkyard, find an random electric fan, like off a 90s Maxima, those dual fans a lot of people use. Yeah, and then buy some relays. It might be a little more than $20 with the relays, depends, how cheap you can find a fan at the junkyard. Now you're going to take the stock truck manifolds on this engine, and if you're NA, I think you're going to have to modify them to clear the steering rack, so I just put $30 in there for a little material to, modify them to clear the steering rack, and then $200 for the rest of the exhaust stuff, some kind of Y-pipe to merge both manifolds into like a 3-inch exhaust, go all the way back. $200 should be plenty for materials. I think on eBay you can actually buy like 3-inch exhaust kits, universal, with like various bends and straights for like $130, I want to say. So should be plenty of money there. Miscellaneous hoses and clamps, stuff you don't think about. Radiator hoses, stuff like that. Oil filter. This is what I use because the aftermarket F-body oil pan has the newer oil filter threads. It's not the same as the OEM F-body pan, which is kind of stupid and annoying, but yeah. I originally bought an F-body like '01 Camaro oil filter, and it didn't thread on. It was annoying. The tuning and tuning. You're gonna have to tune it yourself, or maybe add in a few $100 here if you don't know how to tune. And this is also all assuming you're going to use all the stock wiring off this engine. That's why I said complete. Stock ECU. You just power up a couple things on the fuse block, and you don't have to get like a stripped down harness or anything. You can just use the harness as is. There's videos on how to do that too. LT1swap.com, they have info on that. So unfortunately, if you're doing super budget, it's cheapest just to use the stock truck intake, stock injectors, stock rails, all that comes with the engine, but you're going to have to cut your hood because it doesn't clear. Now you can add like $250 in here if you really want to get an LS1 intake or some kind of aftermarket intake and clear the hood, but then you're gonna have to worry about, does it come with fuel rails and injectors and all that. So that's something to consider. And then using all the stock truck accessories. You're going to have to figure out alternator mounting too if you're using a car intake, because the car intake, like throttle body, will hit the alternator mount on the truck accessories. For turbo stuff, the NA price does not include all this. The turbo price does. So a GT45 eBay turbo, they're like $160. It's like one of the cheapest turbos you can get, and it will support about 550, 600 to the wheels, roughly. But I mean, there's way better turbos out there, but super budget in mine, $160, can't really beat it. And then going on eBay, getting, a front mount intercooler kit with 3-inch piping, $150. A blow-off valve, you don't have to use a blow-off valve, but I would recommend it, so you're not, messing up your turbo when the throttle body's closed and there's nowhere for the air to go but back out the turbo. It's really hard on the bearings. And then just a VS Racing 44mm wastegate, $100. I don't have any personal experience with them, but people seem to love them, so they work fine. Decap stock injectors and get them flow tested. Use the stock fuel rails. I don't know how much this costs, honestly. I think it's around $50. Eric Durr on the Sloppy Groups, he does them. A few other people, a lot of other people actually. And then the EFI source LS, well, you can use an LS1, but the truck takes a different map, but you can just put it on a vacuum line, that's fine. It's only $35. Mine actually just failed, and I got an OEM one, but for the price, they're not bad. They seem to be hit or miss though, so keep that in mind. Sometimes they fail. And then if you're doing a turbo, you gotta flip the truck manifolds around and feed the turbo. So I just put $50 in there for miscellaneous, exhaust stuff. And then for the transmission, I put a TH400 because that's probably your cheapest transmission option. Honestly, this price is probably even a little high. You can find them for less than that. And yeah, you can even find built ones on Facebook or Craigslist, whatever. People put reverse manual throttle bodies on them and all kinds of stuff. They hold pretty good power. Jegs has a really cheap converter for the TH400. That's what everyone seems to use on Sloppy, so people have gone really fast with them. This converter, it's only $250. And then just threw $150 in here for a shifter, but really, you could save a lot of money there. Get some ATF. Then make your own trans mount, and then a custom drive shaft for to mate the TH400 up to your 300ZX diff, And yeah, that should be it. And then you might need a little spacer or something to use the TH400, because it's made for a small block, like the Gen 2, Gen 1 small blocks, and the crank spacing on the back of the engine is a little different, so I have to buy a spacer. I think they're like $20 or something. Or I think the 4L80E flywheels, or flex plates, bolt right up to the small block Chevy stuff, like transmissions. So yeah, all in all, $26.79 for an NA build and $38.78 for a turbo build. That's about as cheap as you can get into one of these. Maybe you could go a little cheaper, but this is pretty bare bones. So yeah, LS swaps don't have to cost 10 grand. So yeah, just thought I'd make a quick video on that, doing a real super budget LS build. So that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video.